Once upon a time, there was a popular palm wine tapper in the town of Newe. His name was Okafor. His palm wine was one of the best, and the sweetness was something else. His palm wine was the sweetest, and the freshness was second to none in the town. He was married to Sochima, a very beautiful lady in the town of Newe. They had been married for many years. Okafor and Sochima has been looking for a child for years since they got married, but there was no child. One afternoon, Sochima went to the market and met an old woman. While she was buying foodstuffs, an old woman held her hand from nowhere, laid her hands on her stomach, and reached out to her face. Sochima was dumbstruck and at the same time very scared. She urged her not to say a word, looked directly into her eyes, and rubbed her hand on her stomach. The woman seemed to be invisible to others, but only Sochima could hear, and feel her touch. She left the market in a hurry out of fear. She couldn't stand the heat anymore. The moment she turned to ask the woman whom she was, she realized the woman had already disappeared. She returned home and never disclosed it to her husband. Her husband noticed she was tensed while serving him his food. Sum, as her husband fondly called her. "What is the matter, my love? And I notice there's this fear in your eyes. Don't lie to me. I can see it," he said. Sochima forced a pretentious smile on her face just to make her husband happy. She got pregnant 3 weeks after that incident at the village market. She was very happy, likewise her husband. Her husband treated her like a princess the moment they both realized she was pregnant. When Sochima's pregnancy was 6 months old, she went to the market, and while bending down to pick some foodstuffs and something on the ground, she felt a touch from an old woman again. This time around, she was so scared, given the fact that she was pregnant. She was just about to scream when the woman hushed her, places one of her fingers on her mouth with a smile, and touches her stomach with the other. She told her that her child would be a child of misery. She didn't understood what she meant. Sochima couldn't get the message because it was strange to her head, as the woman spoke in parables. She reaches out to her hand, counted the lines on her palm, and smiled at her. The moment she wanted to ask whom she was, she disappeared as usual. This time around, Sochima couldn't bear it that she left the market in such a hurry. That sent fear down her spine. That night, Sochima was sitting down, recounting all the incidents with the old woman. As she was about to tell her husband what happened and what she's been experiencing, she felt a very sharp pain round her waist, which made her scream loudly. That moment she felt the pain, she already knew that it could be a labor pain. Her husband was confused, but immediately he brought her to a midwife, and her labor was very easy, as easy as that of the Hebrew women. After a few minutes, a beautiful baby girl was born. She was the joy of every motherhood. She was very beautiful, and her father named her Kaima. Kaima was a very smart girl in the old village. Kaima grew up to become a beautiful, intelligent, but most of all, a very kind-hearted young lady. Her parents were always so proud of her, but there was something they didn't know about the child. Kaima was Okafor's grandmother's reincarnation. She only came for a mission. Kaima was a dancer. She always danced and practiced her dance, and that makes her happy any time she started dancing. She danced in the market square and outside their house every time. One morning, Kaima was sweeping outside their house when a sudden thunder struck and she fell to the ground. Her mother rushed to her. She was carried inside. Her sickness grew worse by the day. But the strange thing was, she will always mention her father's name and call him a palm wine tapper and ask him for forgiveness. Nobody could understand the reason behind that strange behavior. Her behavior was so strange even on her sick bed. When you look at Kaima, she's still looking okay. But if she speaks, she has a voice of an old woman. That scared Sochima and Okafor so much that Sochima began to wonder the strange things they are experiencing and noticing in the life of their sick daughter, which made them set out to consult a seer. They started a journey and they arrived at one seer's place in another town. Okafor and Sochima met the seer, and the seer explained everything that happened many years ago. The seer told Okafor that his grandmother came back just for two reasons: to take back a favorite headscarf that was so precious to her when she was alive, and to ask him for forgiveness. Okafor became more confused than ever. So was the wife. They couldn't believe what they heard. They became more scared and shocked. The seer told them the reason she's always asking him for forgiveness is that when he was born, she never loved her. The reason for that was she never loved his father, and neither did she ever wanted his father to marry his mother, because his father was betrothed to his best friend's daughter from childhood. When his father grew up and was ready to settle for a wife, he found someone else he was so much in love with. Because of that, their friendship went south. The grandmother and her best friend always fought, and they couldn't see each other eye to eye anymore. They became mortal enemies, and there was chaos in the family. Because of that, she swore never to give your mother peace on earth until she died. Until she made her went into the bush to commit suicide. That was how her mother died. She laid a curse on her while she was committing suicide, and told her that her soul will never rest, and neither will she rest even in death. Even if your grandmother died, she won't have peace in the land of death and even in the land of the living. She will be in pain and tears until any of her offspring forgive her, and she will have to ask for forgiveness all by herself. Okafor was lost. Sochima couldn't believe everything she heard. Okafor didn't know what to do. He began to recall all the encounter that he had during his time when he was still very young. This happened many years ago, but didn't know the cause of her death. He didn't even know where his mother died because his father kept it from him. His father died a month after because he couldn't bear the thought of losing his dear loving wife, all because of his own mother. When the seer finished telling them everything, they left in shock and pain back to the house. Sochima met Kaima, her daughter, at the back of the house, smiling at them and holding a small scarf very tightly. Okafor quickly recalled that her grandmother used to have something like that. He asked how and where she got that from. Kaima told him that the day she told them she's going to the market, she traveled all the way far down to her old house that was abandoned for decades and took a scarf where she left it. She told them when she's dead, they should tie the scarf on her head, around her neck, or her arms and bury her with it. She began to ask for forgiveness again. She told them that she saw and knew everything, and she's happy she can die now and live in the other side of the world happily and peacefully. Sochima didn't want her daughter to die, so she began to plead that her husband shouldn't do it. Kaima pleaded that she will never die peacefully and rested again. She will keep roaming and suffering at the other side if he doesn't forgive him for his mother's sake. Okafor reluctantly opened his mouth eventually and said the word. He told her that he has forgiven her and for his mother's sake. Kaima died immediately with a smile on her face. Kaima had this peaceful and wonderful smile on her face as she slept off peacefully. Kaima was buried 2 days after. Sochima cried bitterly every day because she loved her daughter so dearly. A few months after, Sochima realized she was pregnant again, but became scared this time because she could remember her last encounter. Her pregnancy was growing when she saw an old woman one very beautiful morning while she was sweeping. She told her that the child she's carrying will be a blessing and a great child. She was scared, recalling the incident of the past years. When Sochima's pregnancy was 9 months, she went into labor at night, exactly the same time she had it before. She gave birth to a beautiful girl, and the child looked so much like her Kaima. Her husband carried the baby in his hands and named her Kaima and said, "Thank you for coming back to us. And truly this time, you are going to live with us forever. And I will be the one to watch you grow to a woman. God bless you and thank you for giving me the heart to forgive." He raised her up to the sky and brought her down and kisses her. Kaima grew up to be a beautiful, intelligent lady, and she got married to a very rich man in the village. What is the moral of this story? The moral of this story is sometimes forgiveness matters a lot. Sometimes some people die, and even in death, they don't rest, except the people that offended forgives them. Thank you for watching this story. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share as you wait for another story. Thank you.